Good afternoon. Welcome to this next episode. Gosh, I don't know what episode it is, whatever. I'll title it when I upload it to YouTube. But anyway, welcome to this episode of Heart Mind Yoga with Jodina. For those of you that are just joining for the first time, please go back to the introduction video, maybe take a few minutes and skim through that so that you can get a better understanding for what this channel is about. This channel is focused not just on the practice of yoga, but it is also focused on mental health. Yoga has changed my life through the benefits of mental health, which is why I continue to practice on a daily basis. And I have just felt very called to share that gift with you all. So, what I have decided to call our fireside chats, although there's no fireplace here in Florida, is still, I'm from Indiana. That's what it reminds me of, is sitting next to the fire and having some, philosophical chats. So today, what I was kind of called or drawn to speak about is boredom. So, boredom, defined by the dictionary, is an emotional or psychological state characterized by a lack of interest, engagement, or stimulation, often caused by repetitive tasks or lack of meaningful, which for me, I underlined that 8 times, activity. The lack of meaningful activity. That spoke volumes to me. So, why does this boredom piece intertwine with yoga and mental health? And it's really simple. I don't have my phone in my hand because I'm using it for recording, but phones. Um, Phones are the cure for boredom, right? We don't have downtime. And I think the reason that I was called to talk about this is, I was driving around the other day and I looked, and there was a father and daughter in the car next to me, and we were at a red light, and both of them were this. And I looked over at the person next to me that was by themselves, and they're scrolling through their phone. And trust me, I'm not trying to cast judgment here. I am also one of those people, sometimes at a stoplight or, various times I'm scrolling through my phone, right? We all do it. I think what we have lost the sense of, though, is a balance of being okay to have that boredom in our lives, being okay to have that quiet in our lives. We're not okay with that anymore. Our nervous systems are so need for interaction that our phones are something that we often turn to. So for me in my life, one of the things that I have noticed or begin to discover is that when I am so attached and connected to my phone, I am often not focused on what's going on inside, right? It's really easy to distract the mind from what's going on when our attention is directed elsewhere. Um, and for me personally, it's not just been the introspect. It's also been, I don't know, being more aware of the relationships around me and what's happening, like with my husband and I. I know that there's been times in our marriage where we're talking to one another and something pops up on our phones and we're immediately drawn to that. And for me, it's kind of become this question that I ask myself is, what's more important, this device or the person that's sitting right in front of me? So I don't think that phones are bad. I don't want to say that, the internet's bad, electronics are bad. They're not. But I think as a human race, we need to figure out how to be okay with being quiet and being in our minds and being in our bodies. And, through that boredom, it gives us time to look within. It also will oftentimes spawn creativity and just more of that introspect of, what's happening here, um, rather than just filling the mind. So take that, for what it's worth for you. Apply it to your life. If it resonates with you, great. And maybe you can try to figure out ways to start carving some electronic free time for yourself, to just give yourself time to think and breathe. And if you can't, maybe just make that during your yoga practice. Set your phone on the other side of the room, and know that this little bit of time that we have together to practice is for you. It's to benefit you, and just maybe disconnect for that short period and see how that feels for you. And maybe you can start increasing that time as you go on. So let's get into our practice. Before we get started, I wanted to share with you guys our peak pose today is going to be dancing Shiva. I'm going to stand up here in just a minute and demonstrate what that is. I always like to demonstrate the peak pose that we're doing so that you guys are aware and maybe don't have to focus so much on the camera, but can listen to cueing and focus on whatever your focal point is, your drishti, so that you can focus more on the balance in the pose rather than having to look at the camera. The other thing about this practice today, I would like to dedicate my practice to my brother. This is for your hamstrings, so hopefully you're going to spend the time and watch this. This will be a very hamstring intense practice on purpose. My brother's got some back pain and was recommended to lengthen those hamstrings. And I shared with him again that, my forward folds, I couldn't touch my toes or anything when I started my practice 5 years ago. And now my hamstrings are most days pretty okay. So, and it does help with back pain. So anyway, let me pop up here real quick and give you a demonstration of dancing Shiva. So dancing Shiva is a balancing posture on one leg. We'll go through all of the cues here, but it's this guy. We're extending a leg out, arms will come to a T. I'll give you guys an option to maybe let go of the foot and fire up those hip flexors as well. Welcome my dogs to the practice as usual. The other option for dancing Shiva, if extending that leg is not for you today, which is totally okay, then you can also bend the leg. We're looking to find that twist, the reaching through the opposite arm. So we'll have lots of stops on the way. And just like every other practice with me, if something doesn't feel good to your body or you can't do it, don't worry about it. Do what you can do. And maybe next time you'll come back and be able to do what you weren't able to do this week, or maybe you never will. And that's okay. So just be okay with where you're at today. That's not the purpose of the practice. Remember, the purpose of the practice is to connect the mind, body, and the spirit through our breath. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's find our way onto our backs today. Finding a comfortable seat, whether your knees stay bent, pointed up towards the ceiling, or maybe you extend the legs out long. It doesn't matter. Do what's comfortable for your body. Maybe draw the eyes down and begin to check in and notice your breath. Begin inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. Maybe try to deepen and lengthen the breath, noticing the rise of the belly with each inhale. And then notice how the belly draws towards the spine with each exhale. Maybe taking these few moments before we begin movement and just checking in with the body. Maybe starting at the head, working your way down the body, just noticing how everything feels. Maybe taking notice if there's any areas of tightness or stiffness. And maybe during this next 30 to 40 minutes, we can bring some space or release to those areas. Then on our next inhale, let's flutter the eyes open. Stretch the arms out long over the head. Stretch the feet out long for that good morning full body stretch. And then exhale, bring the knees into the chest. Maybe hug the hands around the shins, finding that rock side to side or top to bottom. And I forgot to mention, you guys, you will need a strap or a belt or something today. So if you need to, pause the video and go grab something. I have lost my yoga strap, so I'm just using this little mat strap that I have. My husband's practicing alongside me today, and I gave him a belt from one of our house robes. So really anything will do, literally. Once you have your strap in hand, bend the knees up towards the ceiling. And I want you to take the strap and place it on the sole of your right foot. And then clasp the strap in the right hand, or maybe in the right and left hand, whatever's comfortable for you. You can leave the left leg bent, or if you want to deepen this stretch a little bit, you can extend the left leg out long. Some of you may already be feeling this stretch in the hamstring simply by pressing the right heel up towards the ceiling. If you need to bend the knee a little bit, please do so. Listen to your body. If you have more room in your hamstrings and more length, you can start pulling gently on the strap, bringing the right toes up towards the top of the head. Keep the leg in line with the hip. And again, remember that left knee can be bent. Ooh, we have thunderstorms moving in. It's okay, girls. Don't forget your breath. One more breath here. Exhale. If you brought the toes towards the nose, go ahead and release that stretch just a little bit so the leg is coming straight out from the hip. And then on our exhale, with the strap in the right hand, we're going to open the right leg towards the right side of our space. Lots of options here, you guys. Keep the strap in your hand. Let that hand help you. You can lessen the stretch by bringing the heel down towards the other foot. Or if you want to increase that stretch, you bring the toes up towards the top of the head. Try to keep the left hip grounded down towards your mat. And don't overdo it here. We're not trying to get the leg to the floor. We just want to really feel that stretch. And maybe it feels good to you to move between those two spaces, and that's quite all right as well. One more breath here. On our next inhale, bend the right leg and bring it back to center, switching the grip, moving the strap into the left hand. Make sure you have space, like I do not. And then we're going to exhale, let the right leg fall over towards the left. Again, we're not trying to get this right leg to the floor. You really want to feel that stretch to the hamstring as well as the IT band on the right leg. So maybe tee your right arm out to the side. And again, you can play with bringing the toes up towards the top of the head, holy hamstring, or maybe you relax that and let the heel go down towards the left foot a little bit to lessen or the deepness of that stretch. I could tell you guys how many times I want to say holy hamstrings during my yoga practices in the studio. It goes through my head frequently. Two more breaths. All right, on our next inhale, we're going to bring the right foot back to the ceiling, release the strap from the right foot, and then let's realign ourselves on our mats. And we're simply going to switch sides, let the strap find the sole of the left foot. Same thing goes here, and maybe it's different on this side than it was the other. But you can leave the right knee bent up towards the ceiling if that feels nice to you. Find a micro bend in the knee if you need that. Or you can extend the right leg out long And then options are, again, pull the toes towards the nose or just simply push the heel towards the ceiling and know that that's enough for your practice today. A gentle reminder in our practice, we always want to go to our edge and challenge ourselves, but try to keep our egos out of it and not go so far that you're hurting yourself or causing pain or discomfort. We know the difference, or if you don't, listen to your body and learn the difference between pain and just a little bit of challenge. Like, I feel this in my hamstring, I feel the stretch, it feels good, but it's not hurting me. So, one more breath. Exhale, bring the knee or the foot back up towards the ceiling, and then we'll have the strap in our left hand, and on our exhale, we'll let the left leg drop out towards the left side of our space. Right arm can tee out to the right. And again, options, bringing the toes up towards the head or bringing the heel back down towards the extended right leg. Your choice. The only choice you don't have is continuing to breathe, trying to focus on that inhaling through the nose. And on each exhale, seeing if you can't find a little more softness in the stretch. One more breath. On your next inhale, bend the left knee, grab the strap with both the right and left hand, and gently help that left leg back towards the ceiling. My apologies, I'm going to scoot back onto my mat, and then we'll switch hands. The strap will find the right hand, and on our exhale, we'll gently let that left leg fall over towards the right, again, keeping that left shoulder grounded down. Maybe you find that micro bend in your knee. Notice where you feel this stretch. One more breath. And then we're going to inhale, gently pull the leg back towards the ceiling. Maybe the left hand helps. Remove the strap from the foot. Just set the strap off to the side. We are all done with that. And then maybe roll on to your favorite side, or you can rock and roll your way up to a seated posture. However you want to get there and join me is up to you. All right. Our first stretch, we're going to jump right into it, and I'll give you a couple of options. We're just going to take a forward fold. I'm actually going to turn this way so you guys can see. Toes will be pointed up towards the ceiling. Spine is nice and tall. Hold the belly in, and then we'll inhale the arms up over the head. Keep the belly tucked in. Exhale, reach towards the feet. Don't round the spine. We're reaching the crown of the head. Imagine your forehead touching your toes, which I don't think that's humanly possible. But anyway, that's what we're reaching for. Notice that stretch in the hamstrings. If it's too much for you, or you want to move the stretch to the spine, simply bend the knees a little bit. Bending the knees and then tucking the head, you'll probably feel a stretch more into the low back, which is fine too. Maybe try both and see which feels good to you. And there's also no requirement to reach your toes. Maybe your hands are up on your thighs, your knees, your shins. It doesn't matter. You guys be okay with where you're at today. One more breath. On your next inhale, we'll rise back up. Nice tall spines. And then the right foot is going to find the inside of the left leg. Think of a seated tree pose. The sole of the foot can be on the inside of the thigh, the knee, or the shin. It does not matter. If your knee is not comfortable on this extended knee, place a pillow or a block underneath it to support that knee so that you feel nice and comfy. And we're going to find a Janu Shirshasana. So again, great hamstring stretch, but also we're going to get our nice little spinal stretch here and a little bit of a twist. So stick with me. Have the left toes flexed towards the ceiling. Our torso is going to face towards the left leg. We'll inhale, nice tall arms, pull the belly in. Exhale, reach, reach, reach till you can't go any further. And when you get to your edge, drop the hands and then drop the head and neck. Again, hands can be at the thigh, the knee, the calf. It does not matter at all. Notice right now you should be feeling this stretch in the left hamstring. We're going to take a little shift here by taking the right hand to the outside of the left leg or the left foot. And we're simply going to shift our bodies ever so slightly to the left. You should now feel a stretch in the lower right side of the back. One of my favorite spinal stretches. One more breath. We'll inhale, rise up, take the right knee, bend it up towards the ceiling, and then cross the right leg over the left thigh. And place the right hand behind the right hip. And we'll inhale the left arm up towards the sky. Exhale, twist towards the right. Once you get to your edge, either grab onto the outside of the right thigh, knee, or maybe your left elbow hooks on the outside of the right knee. Our gaze is out over our right shoulder. And please sit up with a nice tall spine here. Don't collapse into your spine, slouching and all that good stuff. Try to sit up nice and tall here. Feel the stretch through the spine. One more breath. On your exhale, unwind the arms. We're going to have a little baby dancing Shiva from our seats. If you take the left hand to the outside of the right foot, grab onto that. We'll extend the right arm behind us like we're reaching for a friend or maybe a cold drink. And then we'll exhale, send that right foot out long. Maybe you can straighten the leg, or maybe it stays bent up towards the chest. It's quite all right, whichever version you take. It gives us a little feel for what dancing Shiva feels like, except when we get to our final pose, we're going to be doing this balancing on one leg. It's going to be easy peasy, you guys. Okay, maybe not easy, but that's what we'll tell ourselves. One more breath. Exhale, gently bend the right knee, bringing the right foot back down to the floor. And then we are going to shift the feet out to the side, finding a wide-legged forward fold. So take your legs as wide as is comfortable for you, trying to have the toes pointed up towards the ceiling. If they don't point up towards the ceiling, who cares? Let them flop out, let them relax. See what's comfy for you. Maybe some of you are already feeling the stretch in the inner thighs. If you're not, you will momentarily. So again, we'll sit up nice and tall here, play with the placement of the feet and see what feels good for your body. And then we're going to exhale, hinge at the hips, reaching the crown of the head out towards the front of the space again. Walk the hands out with you. Stop when you feel the stretch in the hamstrings or in the inner thighs. You might be feeling it all the way down the legs. Do not push yourself in this stretch. And again, we're reaching out with the crown of the head, trying to imagine the back is nice and flat rather than rounding in. And again, with each exhale, maybe you find a little more softness in this pose. One more breath. On our next inhale, we'll begin to gently walk the hands back in towards the body. And then go ahead and bring the feet back out in front of us like we're going to do a forward fold again, which we are not. We're going to, though, bring the left foot in towards the right leg this time, finding our Janu Shirshasana. I'm just giving you guys a different viewpoint this time if that's helpful. Again, remember, support that knee if you need it with a pillow or block. Hold the belly in. Inhale the arms nice and tall. Reach, reach, reach for the ceiling. And then on our exhale, keep the belly tucked in. And we're reaching for our feet. When you get to your edge, you can't go any further. Drop the hands, then drop the head and neck. Enjoy this stretch. Notice what your hamstrings are telling you. And then again, if you want to involve that spine stretch, I want you to take your left hand to the outside of the extended right leg or foot, and then gently shift the body ever so slightly to the right until you feel that stretch on the left lower side of your spine. One more breath. We'll inhale, rise up. Exhale, lower the hands. Let's cross right leg over the left thigh and we'll find our twist here. So let's take our left hand to the left, behind the left hip. Inhale, right arm up towards the sky. Reaching again. And then we'll exhale, let the right hand find the right knee, or maybe your right elbow hooks around the left knee. Sitting up nice and tall, your gaze goes over the left shoulder. Keep breathing. Notice where you feel this. Is it all in the back? I notice it in my shoulders. One more breath. Exhale, unwind the spine. And then we're going to find our little seated dancing Shiva here. We'll let the right hand grab the outer blade of the right foot, extend that left arm out behind you, and then decide on your dancing Shiva, your seated dancing Shiva. Do you want to keep the knee bent? Or maybe you try extending that a little bit again, noticing that stretch through the hamstring. Figure out what is your edge. One more breath. On your next exhale, gently bring that left foot back in towards the body. And we're going to find our way to our hands and knees. Before you guys make it to your hands and knees, take a peek up here. I'm not sure that I've shared this before, but whatever, it seems timely. When we're on our hands and knees, we want to think of our hands. One of my teachers always says as little gecko hands. So you really want to focus on the pads of your fingers grabbing onto the mat beneath you. Your fingers will do a lot to support you, and we really want to focus on placing the majority of the weight through this J shape through your thumb and index finger. Oftentimes when we start practicing, we're dumping a lot of weight into our wrists. And when the longer you practice, the more you start kind of picking up on the things you're doing and can kind of distribute that weight a little bit more through the hands and through the grip, which will then take some of the pressure off of your wrist. So that being said, go ahead and find your way to your hands and knees. We want to be sure that our knees are directly under our hips and that our wrists are stacked under our shoulders. Once you're there, let your gaze be straight down between your fingers. And then on an inhale of your choice, we're going to drop the belly, lift the gaze up towards the ceiling for our cow pose. Exhale, push the floor away, tuck the chin, round the spine for cat. Think of the shoulder blades coming apart. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze, cow. Notice the stretch through the front of the body, through the belly. Exhale, push away, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. One more. Inhale, cow. And then exhale, cat. Coming back to a neutral spine. Let's send the right foot out long behind us, coming up onto the right toes. And then on our exhale, we're going to push the right heel towards the back of our space, noticing that calf and ankle stretch. Inhale, release. Exhale, push through that calf one more time. Inhale, release, lift the right foot off of the floor. And then on our next exhale, we're going to bring the foot over the right leg. And then our gaze is going to shift over the left shoulder. So we're trying to look at that right foot that's now crossed behind the left. You should feel a nice stretch through the right side body. Be sure your shoulders are still staying in alignment. I just noticed I was bringing my right shoulder up towards my ear. We don't want that. One more breath. On your next inhale, we're going to bring that right knee to the outside of the right hand. And then maybe you want to send this left leg back. We're going to find a lizard pose. I like to send my left leg back because I like to have that extra space up here for my left hip flexor. And then your right knee is at a 90-degree bend, knee stacked over the ankle. You can stay here if you're feeling that stretch in the left hip flexor and maybe also on the inner right thigh. Or maybe if you have more space, you can come down to a block or to your forearms. And find your breath. Opening up those hips, bringing space. One more breath. If you're down on your forearms, one hand at a time, come back to those straight arms. And then take the right hand to the outside of the right foot. So now we're framing that right foot. And we're going to find some half splits. So on our inhale, we're going to lunge forward, noticing that left hip flexor. On the exhale, we're going to come back, maybe rolling up onto that right heel. Inhale forward. Exhale, roll back onto the heel. Inhale forward. Exhale, roll back. This next time we're going to inhale forward. Left hand's already planted. Maybe you need to bring that left knee a little bit forward, but we're going to inhale, right arm open to a simple twist. Pushing out of the left hand as much as we're reaching with the right hand. Opening up the heart. One more breath. Exhale, lower down, right hand frames the right foot, and we're going to send the right knee back to meet the left. All right, guys, next inhale, send the left foot back, coming on to the toes of the left foot, and on our exhale, we're going to push that heel back, stretching the calf and ankle. Inhale forward. Exhale, push back. Inhale forward, one more. Exhale, push back. Then inhale forward, lift the left foot up to hip height. And then we'll exhale, send the left foot over, send the right leg over the left foot. And then our gaze is going to shift over our left shoulder, trying to see if we can catch a glimpse of those right toes, feeling that stretch through the whole left side body. Oh boy, it's happening. I'll get it together here in a minute. One more breath here. On our next inhale, bring that left leg back around towards the left hand. Give it some help if it needs it, but plant the left foot on the outside of the left hand. Maybe you need to, again, shift that right leg back, or maybe you need to bring it closer. Listen to your body. We want to find that stretch in the right hip flexor, and maybe you're also feeling this on the inner left thigh. And then again, you can stay here with the arms extended, or maybe the elbows make their way down to the floor or a block. Trying to hug that left knee in towards the left shoulder, or if you want, I didn't say this on the other side, sorry, you can roll out onto the outer blade of the left foot. I kind of like the stretch of holding that knee in towards my shoulder personally, but that's just a preference. Works different parts of the hip. One more breath. On your next inhale, if you came down to a block or your elbows, go ahead and come up one hand at a time, straightening those arms. And then we're going to find our half split. So if you know your body and want to bring your knee in closer, like I just did, we're going to take the left hand to the outside of the left foot this time. We'll inhale, push forward for that right hip flexor stretch. And then exhale, roll up onto the left heel, finding that nice, juicy hamstring stretch. Inhale forward. Exhale, roll onto the left heel. Inhale forward. Exhale, roll back. I have no idea how many we did on the other side, so we're going to do one more round here. We'll inhale forward. And then we're going to exhale, come back. Inhale, come forward, and let's send the left knee back to meet the right. And I hope your guys' knees are all in good shape here, but we are going to come to a standing posture in just a moment. Let's curl the toes under. Inhale, send the hips up towards the sky, bringing the chest back towards the legs. Maybe that means that you find a nice, generous bend in the legs. It doesn't matter. What we want to feel here is the stretch to the spine and the hamstrings while opening the shoulders. I like to shake my head yes and no to make sure I'm not gripping in my neck, which is very common in downward facing dog. One more breath. On our next inhale, we're going to tiptoe. Take as many steps as you possibly can, walking your feet towards your hands until you can't go any further. Once you're there, we're going to find my favorite spinal release. By bending the knees generously, let your chest hang on to your quads. And then maybe you clasp opposite elbows, making a little basket for your head. And then maybe you find some sway side to side. But what I want you to really pay attention here is making sure that you feel that stretch all the way from your lumbar spine, maybe up to your cervical spine or your neck. If you're not feeling that, bend your knees even more and make sure your head is hanging like a bowling ball. One more breath. On your next exhale, let your hands find the mat. And we're going to inhale, roll up one vertebra at a time. And once you get to the top, maybe roll the shoulders down the spine. And pause for a moment and notice how your body feels. Do you feel a little bit looser, maybe? I hope a little bit better. Maybe we've brought some space to areas that we're feeling a little tight. But just notice how your body feels. So before we get into our dancing Shiva, let's just practice one time with a Stamba pose, which is standing on one leg. So find your drishti or your focal point. That's always very important when balancing postures. Do not look at me, because if I move, you're going to move. So find something in your space that is not moving to focus on. Once you're there, let's pour weight into the left foot. Maybe come up onto the right toes, just feeling what that balance feels like. And for this practice, have your hands go wherever they need to help. Maybe that's to your hips, maybe it's out to a T, or maybe you're holding onto your couch or your chair. Who cares, right? This is a practice. So figure out where your hands want to go. And then on your next inhale, let's bring that right foot up and bringing the knee towards the ceiling. Keeping the right foot flexed makes that right leg feel like it weighs just a little bit less. And find your breath. One more breath. Exhale, lower that right foot down, maybe walk it out a little bit if that feels good to you. I'm going to turn to the side so you guys can see exactly what the leg position is supposed to look like when we move to the other side. So this time pouring weight into the right foot. Maybe you just toe tap a little bit with the left toes, feeling what that feels like to stand on one leg. Find your drishti, something that's not moving. And then we'll inhale that left leg up, keeping the left foot flexed. Breathing. And then we'll exhale, lower that left leg down, walk it out a little bit, and we are ready, you guys. We're going to try our peak pose. So remember that Stamba pose that we just did can be a version of a dancing Shiva. So our dancing Shiva can look like this. So that's totally fine. So maybe you try the full dancing Shiva. If you wobble, who cares? I fall out of postures all the time. I may fall out today. We never know. So it's part of the fun of yoga, is just being okay with where you're at today. So we're going to go ahead and give it a try with our dancing Shiva. This is a really tough posture, so be kind and patient with yourself. We'll start by pouring weight into the left foot. Find that drishti. We'll inhale, find our Stamba pose. Maybe the left hand finds the outside of the left knee, extending that right hand like you're reaching out for a friend. And then decide if you stay here, or maybe the hand grabs the outside of the right foot, and then maybe you extend that leg out, reaching the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. And we'll stay for 3 breaths. Challenge, if you're holding the outer blade of the right foot, let go of it and hold the right leg out there. We'll stay for 2 breaths. Exhale, lower it down, and holy hip flexor. Woo! That one bites when you let go of the foot. It helps strengthen those, especially if you guys have seated jobs in a sedentary work capacity. You cannot work those hip flexors enough. They start shrinking from sitting so frequently. So anyway, just a little nursing tip there. So we'll go ahead and move to the other side, you guys, pouring weight this time into the right foot. You know what's coming at you. We'll inhale first, find that Stamba pose. Right hand can find the outside of the left knee. Left arm's going to reach out behind you. Stay here if this suits you for today, or maybe you want to try going for the full dancing Shiva, grabbing the outer blade of the left foot, and then maybe you extend that left foot out. 3 breaths. If you want the challenge, release the hand and we'll stay for 2 breaths. Exhale, lower it down. Maybe give that hip flexor a little bit of love or rub, that little bite that we get from extending those legs out long. Really great exercise. You guys can do that from a chair. If you're seated, you can extend the leg out long and it will really help strengthen and lengthen those hip flexors. All right, you guys, I think that's it. We're not going to stay on our feet very long today. So let's go ahead and exhale. We're going to come down via yogi squat. Again, if you don't like yogi squat, don't do it. Just come to your back side whenever you're ready. But if you're going to go with me, keep your toes pointed out a little bit towards the side. You may have to play with the width of your feet to where it's comfortable for you. And then exhale, either bringing your hands down to the floor and helping yourself down, or just come down using the strength of your legs to support you. And then once you get there, maybe the crown of the head reaches towards the ceiling. If that doesn't feel good for you, who cares? Just bring the elbows to the knees and maybe apply a little bit of gentle pressure. Our goal here is to open the hips. I love our little dancing Shiva pose. I think I might actually do it in my chair yoga class tomorrow. So if this was a little difficult today, maybe you join me for my chair yoga class that I'll be posting tomorrow, and I'll do a different variation of it. When you're ready, we'll release the hands. Maybe you place the hands down on the ground or come down like I do and just plop to your backside. All right. We are going to do our Shavasana together today in a few moments. So just know that I will be here for you. I will guide you guys through your Shavasana. But we'll go ahead and come down to our backs, maybe rolling down gently to our back sides. And let's find a spinal twist. Extend the left leg out long. Maybe hug the right knee in towards the chest. I like to grab both hands, bringing my knee towards my elbow, opening up that hip, and also finding that stretch through the back side of my hamstring. Maybe you find a little rock side to side movement, or maybe find stillness. Just figure out what feels good for your body today. When you're ready, we'll bring the knee more towards the center of the chest. Let the right arm fall out towards the right. And then on our exhale, we're going to let the right knee come over towards the left side of our space. The left knee does not have to find its way to the floor. Your gaze can stay up towards the ceiling or out towards the right arm. And just enjoy the spinal twist. Two more breaths. On your next inhale, we'll gently bring the right knee back towards the ceiling. Send the right foot down to the floor. Shift the hips back to the center of your space. And when you're ready, we'll move to the other side, extending the right leg out long, pulling the left knee into the chest. Again, maybe using both hands, and maybe bringing that knee towards the left shoulder, finding movement or stillness. Again, your choice, as always. And then on our next inhale, bring the knee towards the center of the chest. Let the right hand find the outside of the left knee. Left arm extends out to a T. And then we'll exhale, let the left knee fall over towards the right. Ah. Enjoy your spinal stretch here. Again, gaze up to the ceiling or out towards the left. One more breath. And on our next inhale, let's gently bring the left knee back towards the chest. Bring the right knee in to meet the left. Again, finding those small little rocks side to side or top to bottom if that feels good for you. And then let's find our way to our final resting pose or our Shavasana. Traditional Shavasana, you would extend your legs out long towards the corners of the mat. Hands can drape down beside you with palms facing towards the ceiling for a sense of receiving. Or maybe the palms go down towards the earth for a sense of grounding. And closing your eyes down. Coming back to the breath. Just noticing the natural rise and fall of the belly. Thanking yourself for your yoga practice. And I'll guide you into your Shavasana with a reading, and then I will get you when it is time. Your past may explain your pain, but it cannot decide the future. After a certain age, you are no longer the product of the environment or how you were raised. It becomes a personal choice to live the way that you do. At some point, blaming your past becomes a distraction from your future. Healing is your responsibility. Growth is your decision. It is a personal choice to live the way that you do. You either take ownership of your life or you become a prisoner to excuses. The truth is, no one is coming to save you. It's up to you to become the person you may have never been shown to be. If you drifted away during this short Shavasana, I invite you to begin to bring your awareness back into your space, finding small movements in the fingers and in the toes. Maybe turning the head side to side. And if it feels good to you on your next inhale, maybe take that full body stretch one last time, stretching the arms up over the head and the feet out long. And then on an exhale of your choice, bring the knees back into the chest, giving yourself a hug, thanking yourself for giving you the time, thanking your mind for being flexible and open to trying new things, and reminding yourself of how strong you are. And when you're ready, roll on to your favorite side so you can gently push your way up to a seated position, taking all the time you need. And once you arrive in that seated position, let's take one collective breath together. Inhaling the arms up overhead. Exhaling, hands to heart center. I thank you all. It's such an honor to share this space with you. The light in me honors that light that shines so brightly in you. Namaste.